IMLAX Report. I'm Tim Haslam. This week's issue features more senior spotlights, an article about the PLL coming to Utah, and the IMLAX leagues resuming. I didn't have an interview this week, just with the Memorial Day holiday. I was actually building the playhouse for my kids, and so most of my time was spent doing that. But just wanted to reminisce in this issue about the Memorial Day weekend and the Final Four and what that means to lacrosse fans. Obviously, it's a unique time as a country to look at those who have served our country, and it kind of ties into the Memorial Day theme and military theme of the lacrosse world and the lacrosse community. Those are two tight-knit communities as well. And I just remember talking to my kids about Memorial Day and what it means, and kind of reminiscing about my first NCAA championship that I saw. It was in the spring of 2000. I was 15. First time I'd heard of the school, Johns Hopkins. But I remember watching the Final Four, just being blown away and thinking how cool it was. And obviously in that year, Syracuse went on to win 13-7 over Princeton. Josh Sims was on that Princeton team who went on to have a highly decorated career. I had a chance to meet Josh Sims. He was a Warrior rep, and so when Face Off Lacrosse was around, he came out and talked to Adam, or I was coaching at Highland with Adam Groh, who also worked at Face Off Lacrosse. And so Josh Sims came to Face Off one day, and they were talking, and Adam said, "Well, what are you doing tonight?" And he said, "Nothing." He said, "Well, you want to come to practice?" And so I remember showing up, and Josh Sims was there, and he helped our team, which was pretty cool. Liam Banks and Ryan Power on the Syracuse team that won. Two obviously phenomenal players. Going on to the news and the updates in the youth league, the Intermountain Lacrosse, IMLAX, has released their guidelines for having lacrosse this spring, which I think is pretty awesome. It's, a couple tweaks here and there. I think for me the biggest thing that stood out is that there's going to be no face-offs. For those who have girls in high school, this isn't going to be anything of a shock because they do no face-offs in the Super Sevens League in the fall, and I personally think it's great, especially considering the circumstances, especially in tournament games. Instead of having a face-off in a tournament-style game, you can just pick it up out of the net, take it and go. And so I think, considering all things considered, this is a great move for IMLAX to not have the face-offs. Love to hear your opinion, though. Either reply or put a note in the comment or reach me on Twitter about if you think face-offs are a good idea or not. At the high school league, at the high school level, the IMLAX teams that were originally set this year are going to have like a little mini tournament. And so there's 9 teams out of the 12 that were in it who are going to play starting not this weekend but the next. They'll kind of have some pool play type things and then kind of go into a mini tournament, maybe one game. It's not 100% yet, kind of still working out the details. The UHSAA teams are considered club teams now, and so anything that a coach does would be considered club. The schools obviously have nothing to do with it, and so it looks like a bunch of those schools are practicing and they're going to scrimmage each other. On the girls' side, I'm hearing that they're going to try to put together a 7-on-7 league. So we'll see what happens there. Any feedback would be awesome. I teased it in the intro, but the PLL, there was an article in a New York newspaper where a PLL player said that he thought Utah was one of the locations that the PLL is considering to host their championship series. Now, when you think about it, probably New York and Florida are out. And so Utah actually becomes a great spot in my mind. You say, well, what about Denver? Or what about some of these other cities? Well, Colorado has a ton of COVID cases right now. You look at some of these other cities, and the fact that they have tons of fans could be seen as a downside because those fans would be coming out and trying to get access to the players. And so I think having a small lacrosse community here actually is a benefit. Obviously, let's say there's 10,000 people in the state who love lacrosse, and that's very small compared to other states. And so they could kind of come here, kind of have a homey feel to it. But also, if you take away the fans, which they'll be doing because they're not allowing fans, we're a great place to have an event. Our facilities are top notch. It would likely be at Rio Tinto and using sort of the Real Salt Lake facilities, the ones in Harriman. as well. Utah is easy to travel in, both in terms of commuting and getting here. We have a low amount of COVID cases compared to other states. Our health systems are awesome in the event that a player did get COVID, and so I think it's a great place to hold an event. Park City potentially has avenues to hold events up there as well, which would be enticing for the players. Rather than getting stuck in some city in Florida, they're coming to Utah where they could spend time in the mountains and in Park City and just have a great experience here overall. So I think it's a great move if the PLL were to come here. A couple other news and notes, a couple of articles that local papers have published. Paul Carcaterra, ESPN analyst, interviewed Bubba Fairman on Twitter. It's a 4-tweet series, so be sure to look at all those, and then finish off the issue with the senior spotlights. If you have any questions, don't feel free to reach out, Tim at timhaslam.com, and we'll see you next week.